the boys of St. George's College who are gathered here. I know there are a few girls as well, because I saw them in the video and on the stage as well, who are children of staff members. But especially I'd like to say a very big thank you to Brother Jaisila for inviting my wife and me to this very special occasion. And I would like to also thank the Superior General and the brothers of the Patrician Brothers community for having welcomed my wife and me not only today but on past occasions. And it's been my privilege to have been able to visit St. George's from time to time. And as was mentioned in the introduction, I've had a connection with the Patrician Brothers because I was a pupil at St. Joseph's Academy in Dehradun for a short while. My wife attended Presentation Convent in Srinagar in Kashmir, and then St. Mary's Convent in Clementown, and has also had connections with the Patrician Brothers. And most intimately, her younger brother, Mr. David Sonam, is a former student of St. George's College. And he recalls his days here with great pride and fondness. And I hope very much that all of you pupils will also remember your time here at St. George's for not only the education that St. George's is trying to impart to you, but also for the comradeship that I hope you all are developing with others as you live your lives together. And boarding school life can be a great occasion to make friends for life. And at the same time, it's obvious that every boy and girl has special aptitudes. And these are God-given gifts. And we have seen many of those on display today. And I am very impressed, I must say, by the great creativity that has been on display, because the things that have been displayed have shown that you've gone far, far beyond textbooks, far, far beyond syllabuses and tests and examinations, and that is as it should be. And I hope very much that you have, as pupils, you have enjoyed participating in the activities that have been promoted by Image Minds. I have seen that there are three words that have tried to identify what this is all about. And the first word, it says imagine. And I can see that you boys have really used your imagination. The fashion parade showed that your imaginations went across the oceans to a time in the past and a place far away. So there were costumes imagined in the ancient world, in the West, like the Greeks and the Romans and the Spaniards, and the medieval costumes. And I must say that the 20th and 21st century dresses looked a little drab, actually, in comparison to the ancient ones. And of course, your imaginations have taken you in many other directions. The displays at the beginning it's not just a matter of apps, for example. That's something very much 21st century, but to be able to imagine how these apps can be used, how they can be created, to what use they can be put, and so on. That's just one example. And I can see all around this hall, not just the costumes, but so many other displays of your creativity. And that's fantastic. I just want to congratulate all of you who have put this all together. The second word is innovate. And innovation is definitely on display as well. The robot was really impressive. Now, we know that in institutions of higher education, robotics has become very advanced. And recently in the news, there was some kind of a robotics competition in China where we were shown news of robots running, playing football, and so on. And apparently there was a race, and one robot broke Usain Bolt's world record for the 100 meters race. Well, we know that cars can go much faster than human beings. So having a robot that looks like a human being with 2 legs, 2 arms, something that looks like a head and a torso, I mean, it's not really very surprising. It's just that it's very interesting to see that human beings like to create robots that look like human beings, when that's not really absolutely necessary. And of course, we have robots that look like other things, but if they're mobile, then our human experience is really confined to animals, because the plants usually don't move. So then the robots that are mobile look like animals or like human beings, and so that's fine. But we know very well that in the last 30 or 40 years, robots have been used to a much larger degree in factories, for example. So in the automotive industry, we have robots that are now doing the work that earlier human beings used to do. Mechanics used to do things like welding and cutting and so on. And that's fine. It just shows that as human beings, we have developed to a very advanced degree the ability to use tools. And it's wonderful to see that you boys and the few girls who are in the school are also learning to use all these tools in various ways. And then the third word is inspire. And that's very interesting, because imagination often requires an individual effort. Sometimes it can be done collaboratively when people get together and discuss how to imagine things. And in the very first couple of videos, we saw groups of students coming together in grade 6 and grade 7, imagining situations where they interact with one another. But it can be a very individual activity as well. We know, for example, that Albert Einstein used to indulge in thought experiments. And in these thought experiments, it was really an individual effort, because he imagined situations which other people could not imagine. Or, for example, of a body moving at the speed of light, and what might transpire when those conditions were met. And his thought experiments are the type of experiments that have been going on in your brains as well. And so maybe many of your imaginative activities have been very individual. And it's possible that even innovation is something that you may have done individually, but I can see that a lot of it has been done in collaboration with other people, and you've been working in groups, and I'm sure that the people who've been, say, working on the robot, it was not done by just one person, it was done by several boys working together. You know, people working on the design, someone putting the electronics together, other putting the motors together, attaching them to the wheels and so on. However, the third word that you have used is inspire, and surely that is a very outward-looking attitude. So, the wonderful thing is that the gifts that God has given us are not only for our own use and for our own fulfillment as human beings as we seek expression, but to share with others and to become an inspiration to other people. And I must say that I think I can speak for my wife as well. The two of us have been really inspired by everything that we have seen and witnessed today. And I hope very much that all the exciting things that you have been doing in this creative set of activities will be an inspiration to other people, to your friends, to people who see what you're doing, and help them to become better people. And we might wonder, what has inspiration in technology got to do with being good? It is actually a very important question to ask, because it is possible to use technology in imaginative and innovative ways, but for destructive purposes, for bad purposes. If I can go back to Albert Einstein, for example, when he came from Europe to the United States as a refugee, he brought with him his great intelligence, his imagination, his innovation. And when, in the 1930s, the Second World War seemed to be inevitable, and when it broke out, he, along with other physicists and scientists, advised the United States government to build an atomic bomb before Germany was able to do it. Because the intelligence services found out that Germany under Hitler was trying to prepare an atomic bomb. The technology was available, but in various stages of advancement. And so the United States government brought together its physicists and scientists and started creating the bomb. But the scientists who were involved in creating the atomic bomb did not expect, certainly not all of them, certainly not most of them, they did not expect the bomb to be actually used. They might have thought that it might have been necessary to drop the bomb on Germany, maybe, but many of them did not expect it to be dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we know that this great innovation that took place had such a destructive power that it obliterated these two Japanese cities. It brought the Second World War to a conclusive end very quickly, no doubt, but then hundreds of thousands of civilians were killed or injured so badly, and many of them were sick with cancer for many decades. Now, of course, we live a good 80 years since that's happened, and there are only a few survivors left. But we know that it is possible to be imaginative, innovative, but we must ask ourselves for what purpose. And if we wish to inspire other people, I hope it will be to inspire other people for good purposes and not for bad purposes. And that is why all the creative activities that you have been taking part in, I hope, will have good outcomes. Good outcomes for yourselves and good outcomes for other people. And it need not only be things like industrial technology. If you'll permit me, I'll just say a few more words about how it is possible to do good in another way. There was a gentleman called Mr. Borlaug who was awarded the Nobel Prize in Nobel Peace Prize. Norman Borlaug of the United States of America received the Nobel Prize for Peace because of his agricultural imagination and his agricultural innovation, so that millions of people around the world came out of starvation because of his innovation in the field of growing wheat in Latin America and then in the Philippines. And some estimates suggest that he saved the lives of 1 billion people because of his agricultural innovation. So it's not just mechanistic technology like robots and so on, but it is possible to be innovative in other fields of human endeavor. And I hope very much that some of you will look beyond what we have seen today, look to how human innovation and intelligence can be utilized for the benefit of many, many people in many ways. So I would just like to conclude by saying thank you very much, Brother Jesse, for inviting my wife and me to this wonderful presentation, a display of the great creativity that the boys here have had the opportunity to indulge in. I congratulate, I believe the organization is called Image Minds that has spearheaded this effort, and I want to congratulate everyone who has participated in Icreas 2026. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Your words are sure to leave an everlasting impact on our hearts. It is now my pleasure to invite Reverend Brother Jason to present a memento to our chief guest as a token of our hope and appreciation.